Now that we know that metals or hydrogen go to the cathode and then non-metals go to the anode, let's see some different situations that could arise. Now, movement of ions in molten electrolyte. As I stated earlier, a molten electrolyte is just when we heat up a solid for its bonds to break and then form a liquid. Okay, so we can get salt, we heat up the salt, and then the bonds in the solid salts are going to be broken, and then we get the salt in the liquid or molten state. Okay, these electrolytes do not contain water. They are formed when the solid is heated to cause melting. So let's say when we have salt, sodium chloride, and then we heat the salt for it to melt, we are still going to have sodium chloride in our molten or the liquid or our electrolyte. Okay, there will be no other metal or no other elements added. Just the elements we started with are going to be in there. Okay, now the principle, as we saw in the previous slide, shows that the cation will go to the cathode. So the sodium will come here. The cathode is a negatively charged electrode. The sodium in the sodium chloride will come here. The chlorine ions will come here. Now, the reason why they are moving there is because over here, the chlorine has an extra electron that it got to form a bond with sodium. The sodium also lost an electron. So the chlorine will come to the cathode, release the electron, and then the electron will move through this circuit. And then sodium is going to get its electron back at the cathode. So chlorine will go to the anode, give out the electron. The electron will move through the circuit, and then sodium will be waiting for this electron at the cathode. So in the molten electrolyte, there are no new elements. The ions in there are the same ions that formed the solid. Okay, so for example, in salt, in the solid salt, sodium chloride is in there. But once we heat it up, no new electrons are going to be added. We're going to have the same sodium and chlorine in there. By this time, the bonds have been broken, so the salt will be changed from the solid to the molten state. When we subject such an electrolyte to electrolysis, the sodium will move to the cathode, and then the chlorine will move to the anode.